Tak ještě jednou dobrý večer, vítejte zpátky po filmu Je mi za sebe špatně na Q&A s režisérem Kristofferem Borglim. A já to přepnu do angličtiny, protože celá akce se bude odehrávat v angličtině. Ladies and gentlemen, dear audiences, welcome back after the screening of the film Sick of Myself, and I'm very happy and very proud to welcome here the director of the film, Kristoffer Borgli, directly from Los Angeles with us. Just a few seconds because we would like to see him on screen. I see the director on screen right here on the computer in front of me, but I would like you as well to see him. Technicalities, the usual things. The countdown. Okay, so just a few more seconds, please. We need to mirror the screens. Oh, here he is. So if you would like one more round of applause, if you feel like it.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So hello and good evening or good morning, Kristoffer, to you to LA. We are very happy that you could join us for the Q&A session after the screening of your film. It seems that in LA the weather is not the same as here at the SCANDI Film Festival. Just tell us how it feels right now to be in LA.
It's great. It's the reason I moved here was because of the.
Hold on, you are on mute.
Okay.
Can you say something, please?
Hello.
So we're really there. So once again, how it's like in LA. Please tell us here in the middle of cold January.
It's sunny as always. It's one of the reasons I moved here was because of the the Norwegian winter is really miserable and I get really moody. So that's why I moved. And also like one of the reasons the movie is shot during summer. It's just it's the most beautiful place in the summer, but it's just like unbearable in the winter.
I certainly feel you. So I'll start the Q&A session for the film with the first question. So for your previous film, which is called Drip, I have been talking about the film a bit in the introduction before the screening itself. So for the film Drip, you took an inspiration from your real life friend, Amir, who is comedian, performance artist, and he had an experience with branding absurdities in 21st century. But I would like to ask you, what was the inspiration here for the film Sick of Myself? I believe it must have been a certain tabloid story or online influencers whose bodies are not according to beauty standards or something totally else?
Yeah, no, there was no one story that was the inspiration. It was more like a general observation of where we were moving culturally, and that there was suddenly this, I guess, well-intended focus on victims and marginalized people. And then just seeing that there were people who were thinking opportunistic and taking advantage of this kind of attention economy around victimhood. And then that felt like just fertile grounds for satire.
I believe that if we go inside the film, that the performance of Christine Thorpe as Signe is crucial for the film. It's the engine of the film. However, next to her, I think the other main character is her bruised makeup, which is important and has a life of its own. So this was the concept from the beginning, or did you think about other physical aspects as the key one? For example, if she misses a hand or foot or whatever, you know?
Yeah, it was always the idea was some sort of body disfigurement that was in the form of a rash somehow. I wanted to find something that was like just between horrific and interesting, so that it was not too terrible to look at throughout the film, but you know, severe enough to actually create a whole new identity. And the look was kind of vaguely explained in the script. And I didn't know exactly what it was going to look like. And I tried to find someone to collaborate with. And I was first looking in Scandinavia. I couldn't really find, you know, the prosthetic makeup designer that felt like the right match. And then someone recommended I talk to this guy, Izzy Galindo, in New York. And once I had a conversation with him, I felt that I'd found the right guy. He just sent me like a 300 image folder with just the most horrific diseases that I've never seen before, and he was so excited about it. And I felt, you know, I'd found the guy for the job. And yeah, so him and I spent like probably a year leading up to the movie, designing this and using. We didn't have the cast yet, so we just used the model and tried different things on her. And yeah, that was the process.
Makeup artists with passion. That's always always sounds like there's something slightly off.
Yeah.
Didn't it? Because I believe that the mask is the prosthetics. They cover almost half of her face. You know, towards the end of the film. Did it influence heavily Christine's performance, or did she tell you or was talking to you about that it actually enhances or diminishes her performance? You know, did you have these kind of talks that the things, the materials that she had on her face, did they alter?
Yeah. No, we me and Izzy had discussions around the design of the different stages, and that we really needed for her to be able to express herself, her emotions through, you know, her eyes and her face. So we try to keep important things, you know, visual and clear. And then other than, of course, it does change her acting a little bit to have all this stuff in her face. But I think the most crucial element was that it took, you know, up to 7 hours in the makeup chair before she then has to perform for another 10 hours. So it was just like physically demanding and tiring, and yeah, she just had to spend so much time in the makeup chair and get there so early that it was more an energy problem than like a physical problem.
So this is not a masterclass, this is a Q&A session, which means I would like to open the forum to the questions from you, from the audience. If you have anything you would like to ask the director, if you have a comment you would like to share with Kristoffer Borgli, with our guest tonight, feel free, just raise your hand and we will go there with a microphone. Okay. There you go.
Hi. Norwegian film seems to work perfectly internationally. How come? Small country, up to the north, transportation difficult. everything seems to be like, you know, against it. But still, number of films are producing, and a lot of them actually are performing extremely well internationally. Give us a receipt.
Well, yeah, I can't diagnose the success. I can only, I guess we have a somewhat healthy film institute that funds movies, and are always looking for, you know, new voices, and so it's like a government funded system that, you know, works pretty well. Aside from that, I think it's just easier to make movies than ever. You know, people are more, you know, understanding cinema language just from you always having a camera in your hand. I think there's just more people who are interested in filmmaking, and it's just a new generation of voices that, you know, are growing up with cameras and screens, and find the language just more easy to navigate. And I guess that counts for like anywhere in the world. So I'm not sure what it is about Scandinavia or Norway specifically. Maybe it is just a healthy like funding system.
Very topical question at SCANDI Festival. Anybody else directly towards the film or anything else? Okay, so we have seen glimpses of you, Kristoffer, in your previous film, and here, I mean, previous film, I mean, Drib. And here, am I correct that you are the director of the Regardless commercial? Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so casting yourself is a casting necessity, or is it a concept, sort of like a Hitchcock cameos, or why is this? Have you thought
well, I needed someone who was sort of like a weak and kind of a shallow douchebaggy director in the film, and I thought, perfect, that's me. So yeah, I didn't have to look far for that part, and I don't know, I like performing as well as, you know, I like all aspects of movie making, if it's writing or editing. Like, I edited the film myself and wrote it, and I think it's just an element of creative expression that I like, but maybe, you know, only if it makes sense. I felt that putting myself in that role sort of made sense, and there was some irony there that worked. So there wasn't that much thought into it. Maybe I'm just like a little bit of a narcissist myself. Maybe that's it.
Well, I think your film clearly shows that everybody is a little bit narcissistic, but the difference between a regular narcissist and Signe is just in terms of scale, you know, and not.
Yeah.
Again, any questions from the audience? Yes, there is one.
Thank you for the movie. I would like to ask you about the design of furniture, and how did you develop the like, what kind of art will the main character be into? Because I was enjoying how ridiculous it was, but also it wasn't far from some stuff you can sometimes see in modern art galleries. So I would like to know how that was coming together.
Yeah, that is actually from a little group of people in Oslo who have lived that life of stealing designer furniture, stealing expensive wines, living kind of like outside of society, but then enjoying the finer things. And one of these guys was an artist and would do the thing. He would make sculptures out of things he stole, and nobody really knew about it. Nobody knew that these were stolen items. But I heard about this, and I talked to some of those guys, and I was just like fascinated by the whole idea of just like living a very aristocratic life just by stealing. And then as we were prepping the movie, they got caught by the police. There was apparently like a long investigation. They had been following them for like a year. And so during the movie, when we were about to shoot, they were like all suddenly detained and temporarily put in prison while awaiting trial, which was interesting too, because some of these guys were supposed to be in the film and then they couldn't appear in the film. And yeah, this is all over the news in Norway, and there was photos of all the furniture they had found in these guys' homes. And I just copied the exact furniture that they had been stealing is the same ones that the apartment that they live in, all that furniture you see was like stuff that was from the evidence of the police.
We're not done yet. So apart from the clapping, any questions? Still coming. Okay, so I have another one. In your previous film, I think the reason why I'm mentioning your previous feature film is the reason because I feel that they sort of mirror each other. Because in Drip, it sort of or I had a feeling that there's a tendency in the film that you sort of want Amir to be punished for wanting to reach a certain level of fame, but the film never goes really into that direction. And Signe thus feels as Amir's younger sister, I might say. They share the hunger for attention, albeit not the scale again. Do you agree with that? Or
yeah, I see similarities there. I think that maybe that's another part of being from, like, say, a Scandinavian country that has all your basic needs kind of spoken for, that you start getting into the hierarchy of needs, the top layers, which is self-fulfillment and kind of status and recognition, and those are since we're not like preoccupied in Norway or in Scandinavia with so much about like food and shelter and those kinds of needs, it starts becoming more existential. And I think one of the most like important things is just validation and recognition when everything else is covered for. So I think that just is a theme that I keep returning to, probably because it's been on my mind a lot too.
What is your attitude towards fame? I know that it's quite a very broad question, but what is your idea about fame versus stardom versus stardom being sort of like a price, for a talent, versus fame, which is very accidental, but also very democratic in a certain sense as well?
Yeah, I think it's I think it was Bill Murray who said, are you sure you want fame? Just try being rich. I think that covers it. And talking about like the negativity of being famous, I think it's there's probably a healthy version of the desire. I think the desire maybe comes from something like, being valued as a human and having status in your in-group, which can be just positives, a positive side effect of doing good things. And I think that's been kind of hijacked by all these opportunities to have like the empty calories of recognition, which becomes, you know, as sugar is to food, like fame can be for accomplishments. So it's like looking just straight for the sugar and not wanting the actual, you know, the healthy part of it, like skipping the accomplishment part and just going straight for whatever is going to give me that sugar rush. And I think we have so many opportunities, and I think we also have so many reward systems for the empty calorie version of fame, that it's just like a whole incentivized economy that is kind of like, it's difficult to resist it. I think it's like mostly unhealthy. I think it should just be a byproduct of accomplishing something good. And I think if you are a writer, you should be happy writing, not happy just if it's a bestseller, say. But it's difficult. Like, it's something that, you know, I investigate myself and my own feelings towards it, and I use that. I know that, you know, it's probably a lot of my drive and incentive is from some like unhealthy ambition. But yeah, so I guess I'm wrestling with it and trying to tackle it in art, which then leads me to show up for Q&As and getting attention again. So it's like a catch-22.
So any questions from the audiences? Yes. Just a few moments.
So I'm thinking back to the film and I'm still digesting. I have two young daughters. They would be younger than the main character. And I'm just thinking of one thing, because the girl, she was really unhappy in the relationship. And I'm just thinking that there was no angle of, does she have parents? Does she talk to someone? I mean, she has friends, girlfriends, but she doesn't talk about the actual relationship with the boyfriend, that she's not happy. So I'm just thinking, I guess it was the intention to push back on these angles because you wanted whatever happened afterwards to come up. But I'm thinking whenever maybe of like talking to girls like this and maybe screening it to girls like this and people like this, like to maybe have the discussion that, hey guys, if you talk to close people to your heart, maybe this can never ever happen, but there needs to be the angle of the discussion. So maybe the thoughts are not, the question actually is, so maybe would you think of going back to screening this to some teenage girls as an educational thing, like, hey, this will not happen if you have like close group of friends where you can like confide and talk to.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that there's better solutions than what Signe does. I think it is a somewhat of a parable, like a moral tale. It's I think it's you can use Signe as a kind of a derogatory label, like you're being so Signe right now, which is like when you're, you know, acting up a certain desire for, you know, victimizing yourself and like flaunting your victimhood or nagging about, you know, kind of negative attention. I think she's like the, you know, satirized, very clear kind of example of like, don't behave like this. So I think if anything, yeah, it could be used as a slur. Like, you know, like as they say, like you're such a Karen is a very like defined way of being. Like maybe you're being so Signe right now is like another, could be like a label to, you know, avoid being like that.
Yeah, I have to say, I have a feeling at the end of the film, at the conclusion, that even the therapy doesn't work in her case. It's just, it gets her even it just gets her another audience, you know, she just reaches another audience, and probably the effect of therapy is misfired with her, or it won't work.
Yeah, I agree. I remember I had actually therapy sessions in the script, and it's like it was all about like what is she going to be wearing for the therapy? How does she want to present herself? And it's like kind of the same thing when she goes to the doctor. She has like a very cool jacket on, and she's like always dressing up for these like things, as though we talked about them as like when she meets new people, she dresses like she's about to meet the press. So going to the doctor, she wants to like look very cool. And I think just like, yeah, she lives in like always like a meta perspective of performance. Like everything is a chance to perform. Everything is a stage for her.
Anybody else with questions or comments? There at the back. Face in the shadow.
Okay, thank you. First, I would just like thank you for the film. I loved it so much. A great film it was. I was just maybe one or two questions about it. I was kind of surprised that when she took the pills and the symptoms appeared, that she would be more concerned about how she looks. She wasn't, you know, I understand that that was her plan, and that her plan worked, but she didn't appear to be so concerned about her looks right until the late when her hair started to fall out.
Yeah.
I would be expecting to, you know, she would reflect about it a lot sooner, but you know, maybe I'm something missing. And I had a question about the ending, but now I can see that the ending is just good, that she reached a new audience in the therapy group. I wanted to ask if you can tell that you know, where she expected it to end.
Yeah.
What her plan would be if it worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if she wanted to get caught.
Right.
Because she paid attention in this. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's those like dream fantasy sequences are kind of like alluding to what she hopes, and it keeps changing. Her fantasy, like from one point she's a model, and she's on the cover of like ID magazine, and her boyfriend wants to make an art exhibition based on her. In another one, she has written this like fantastic book. So she's always fantasizing about like kind of a big, objectively verifiable version of success. Like the front cover, the novel, the hit novel. And it's always like something where she has Thomas is like, his status is a little bit lower than hers. It's always the case that she wants. So it's like, it's almost, I think she wants just to be the main character in the relationship, and that Thomas is, you know, getting actually recognized as a contemporary artist makes it hard for her, and she needs something that's like one step above that. I think for her, it could be anything. It could be the modeling, it could be the book, it could be something where she has such a strong brand that she's wanted, desired, like people are craving her brand somehow, but I don't think she has like a genius plan. She doesn't have anything to say. So I think that's the psychosomatic element of it. Like she wants to be an art object, and this goes back to the Norwegian title of the movie, which is Syk pike, which means sick girl, which is the title of a famous painting. And people confuse it with this other painting, which is The Sick Child by Munch. So there's two famous paintings in Norwegian art history that are very similar. They're of a girl who is sick. And there was like a period in Norwegian art history where painting a sick girl was like an icon. And she's dating an artist, and I think she wants to be seen that way. I think she wants to be the art object. She wants to be the designer chair. She wants to be the sick girl. And I think it doesn't really go beyond that. She doesn't question her desire. She just follows her intuition. And the dog bite accident is like kind of what unlocks it for her. Like that feeling she got to cosplay accidentally that victim with the blood on her, and she was just like, okay, this is feeling so good that I need this to be a permanent solution.
So is there any other question? I'm thinking about whether there is a traditional happy ending for her, because the happy ending in terms of whether she is going to wake up from this very perverse and very like sick wanting. Do you think there's a chance for her?
Well, I mean, yeah, the ending, she finds a new family, and I think it's she's like I guess being pragmatic and compromising. She doesn't really, it's not her favorite place to get validation, but I think it's the only place she has left. Like all her friends, everyone around her has turned their backs on her, so she just has this place. And now at the end, she speaks the language. She says like, I'm doing detox phase 1, I'm doing blah. She knows the language of that microcosm, and she's playing that well. And I think, I mean, sadly, I think that's like her end station. But I don't know, maybe not. Maybe she can get well from that, just realizing that this isn't a permanent place for her. I don't know. I feel like she's past the point of ever learning. I think her kind of like twisted desires are too strong.
Have you written any background for her, like backstory for her and for Thomas and for the other characters, just as Stanislavski or method preparation for actors do, that they actually create a wide backstory and a wide net of what happened and didn't happen to them. So what about Thomas? We see him, he sort of like disappears. Is he like mirroring the fate of the real artist who got into jail? So in the end he disappears from the picture. Does he breaks up with her, or he just ends in jail?
Yeah, that's open-ended. I think if we were to believe Signe, it's like he's just in jail and they both feel bad, and they're still in a relationship, but it's like, she's a very unreliable narrator. So I think it's fair to assume that maybe he also has had enough at the end. But I guess we don't really know.
Okay, we leave that open to mystery. Any questions or comments from anyone? Yes, there at the back. So just give us a few seconds to get there with the mic.
Thank you for the film. I really enjoyed it, and I think I've known people a bit similar to the main character, not at this extent, but like a little bit, yeah. So actually, my question is about the relationship with Thomas, her relationship with Thomas. Like I was thinking if does he understand what she's doing, or does he like so self-absorbed that he doesn't like see what she's doing, her play, or does he like gets turned on by this? Like I don't really know like what's his attitude towards like all her actions. He's like I was just wondering about that, like what was how you intended this.
Yeah, I feel like it is a little bit vague. Like even I don't fully get him. It seems like he can get into the role play, you know, when they're having that like funeral sex fantasy and that there's something kind of exciting for him there. And then he just seems to as you say, like he's so self-absorbed that he doesn't even like really fully recognize what's going on. Or like I'm actually not sure. And I remember even like when I was editing it, there's when they're at that restaurant at the end, and the friends are trying to be like, hey, you guys are kind of exhausting to be around, and then suddenly he takes her side. Well, she's sick, and then kind of uses her as for sympathy or something, which he also does at when they're taking the tram, and he's like, caressing her in front of the eyes of some girl on the tram that's like thinking that he's a gentleman for being with this like sick girl. So I think maybe there's some element of performance on his side that he likes, but he also doesn't like that she's starting to become, the main character in the relationship. And I guess it's a little bit of a complicated kind of relationship that I'm not even fully sure what Thomas thinks. And I feel like I don't even want to put it into words. Like I like that it's something that it's contradicting itself. Like he's shitting on her in certain contexts and then suddenly having a lot of sympathy for her. And he's like a mystery, I guess.
So we still do have time for one or two questions. So if you really feel the need to share your view of the film, feel free to do so. If not, then remain silent forever.
Can you turn the screen? Can I see the audience?
Yes, you can.
Vamos.
Hey guys. Glad you came. Hope you enjoy that.
So, in case, there is one final hand that's risen.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the movie. It was perfect and the worst at the same time. But I have maybe a stupid question, but I wasn't sure about her dealer because she had a fantasy, and he had the scars too. So I'm not sure actually if it was just a fantasy or if it was the reality. Well, if he was sick like her too or not.
Yeah. It's he says when they're buying drugs that like she's kind of pitching it as like a stronger than Xanax. And he gets like, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe I'll get a couple too. And she's like, no, don't buy it. And then there is like, it's vaguely hinted at, but yes, he has bought some too and started taking them and is in the early stages of like, he will also accidentally get the same disease, which is like very, very like kind of small side story. But yes, that is my intention, is that he accidentally has been using the pills. There's even like a bigger, it was bigger of a story, but it just felt like there wasn't room to really go there. But he has also been, like his mom, who we barely see in the house, she also started taking it because she has like trouble sleeping. And so, yeah, both him, the dealer, and his mom is about to get the same rash.
So, there's maybe a final
Just a very quick one. Question on Kristina Kujak-Top, the main actress. Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah. Well, what's the question?
On Kristina Kujak-Torp, if I'm pronouncing it right. So she seems to be one of the most versatile new blood in the Norwegian actress pantheon. We got her in Ninja Baby. I just learned that she's actually casted for Bastarden with Matt Mikkelsen. And, and can you comment on this? I mean, am I right, or I mean, is she?
Yeah, no. She is really, really special and unique and very talented. And I had so many people come into audition for this film, and Signe, the character, is very unlike any Norwegian person, really. Like, it's the level of kind of conniving, opportunistic narcissism, I feel like, makes more sense here in LA. And so it felt, I was really fearful that I wouldn't find anyone who could make Signe come alive. And she, like, with any part of the script that we tried, like, anything that came out of her mouth just sounded authentic and real. And like the needs for this part of, like, having kind of making a very extreme character seem believable, but also like the comedic timing and the physicality of, like, her, spasms and wearing, the prosthetics and like, it's a very demanding role. And it was like, she made it look so easy. I don't think we could have made this film without her. She was truly exceptional. She's very good.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this was Kristoffer Borgli and his film Sick of Myself. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you very much for your attention, for attention, and Kristoffer, thank you very much for being us with here at SCANDI.
Thank you. All right. Take care, guys.